This lecture deals with SLR parser. So LR parser that uses SLR parsing table is termed as SLR parser, and the construction of SLR parsing table is based on the construction of a DFA, based on the construction of a deterministic finite automata in which each state actually represent, or each state consists of a collection of LR0 items. So what do you mean by LR0 item? So assume that you are having a grammar G and let A giving X, Y, Z is a production in your grammar G. Then LR0 item of a grammar G is actually a production whose right hand side contains a dot operator. For example, if I write A giving dot XYZ, it is actually an LR0 item. If I write A giving X dot YZ, it's again an LR0 item. If I write A giving XY dot Z, it is an LR0 item. If I write A giving XYZ dot, then this is also an LR0 item. So if I am having a production X giving XYZ, I can have 4 different LR0 items. So if I take this particular item, it actually holds an information. The information is that so far, or the parser is now expecting to parse a string that is derivable from X, Y, Z. If I take this particular item, the information depicted is that so far the parser has seen the string derivable from X. Now the parser is expected to see a string that is derivable from YZ. Again, if I take this item, that is A giving X, Y dot Z, the parser has seen the string that is derivable from X, Y, and now the parser is expecting a string that is derivable from Z. If I am having the item A giving X, Y, Z dot, which indicates that the parser has seen or completed parsing the string derivable from X, Y, Z. So the basic principle or basic idea behind the construction of SLR parsing table is constructing a deterministic finite automata with each state containing a collection of LR0 items. So in order to determine the collection of LR0 items, you need to be familiar with two operations: closure and goto. And again, so I will try to illustrate closure and goto with an example. And again, before constructing the collection of LR0 items, we have to determine the augmented grammar. Augmented grammar G dash of G. So initially you are given a grammar G, you have to rewrite the grammar or add one more production so that S be the start symbol in G. If so, you have to add a new start symbol S dash in the augmented grammar G dash and add the production S dash giving S. So you need to add a new start symbol and inserting a new production S dash giving S, where S is a start symbol in the given grammar G. You can easily convert a grammar G to its augmented grammar G dash. The purpose of adding this production is that whenever parser LR parser applies this particular reduction, then it can accept the string, or it can take a decision to accept the string. So that is the reason for introducing a new start symbol. Whenever it applies this particular reduction, the parser will generate the output accept. So let us consider a simple grammar. So let the grammar be E giving E plus T or T, or you can write E giving T plus E or T, T giving ID. So this is the grammar G. So before determining the collection of a collection of LR0 items and constructing the deterministic finite automata, you have to take the augmented grammar. So what about the augmented grammar G dash? So here E is the start symbol. So I am going to insert a new start symbol E dash. So to E dash, and you have to insert a production E dash giving E, where E is the start symbol in your grammar G. Now you can leave remaining productions as such. E giving T plus E, you can write E giving T, T giving ID. So this is the augmented grammar. Now, as I said, you have to identify LR0 collection of items. So each item set will act as a state in our DFA. So first you have to determine the initial item set. So let the item set be I0. In order to determine the initial item set, you need to take the production corresponding to the starting symbol in our augmented grammar, that is G dash. You can add the initial item, that is E dash giving dot E, which indicates that the parser is going to or expecting a string that is derivable from E. So this is the initial item that you are going to add into the initial item set I0. Now once after adding the initial item to the item set, you have to take the closure. So closure in the sense you have to verify whether the right hand side is having a non-terminal immediately succeeding the dot operator, or you have to verify whether there exists a non-terminal which is immediately preceded with a dot operator. So here you are having dot immediately followed by E. For that reason, you have to add the productions whose left hand side is E. So we are going to take closure of E dash giving dot E. Since dot is immediately followed by a variable or non-terminal, you have to add productions corresponding to E into this item set. E giving, so what about productions of E? E giving T plus E and E giving T. And these two productions must be started with dot operator. So in this way, if you take closure of this item, you will go to the right hand side and verify whether dot is succeeded with a variable. If so, add productions corresponding to that variable with right hand side starting with dot operator into the current item set. So we have completed adding closure of this item. Now see whether you can add closure of this item. So if we check the right hand side contains dot immediately followed by a variable T. So we have not yet added any production whose left hand side is T. So if you consider production corresponding to T, this is the production T giving ID. So we can add T giving ID, and that must be immediately preceded with ID. Now if you consider this production, verify whether you need to add the closure. So right hand side is having dot immediately followed by T. So the production to be added is the production whose left hand side is T. So if we add T giving dot ID, that is already there, so we don't need to add it again. And if you consider this production, verify whether you need to add its closure or not. If you consider the right hand side is not having any variable that immediately succeeds the dot operator. So this will be the starting item set, and this will act as the starting state of our DFA. Okay. So in this way you can take the closure. I can formalize computation of closure like this. If I take any item I, closure of I contains I. So if I take E dash giving dot E, that itself belongs to closure of that item set. Now, so this is the first rule. Closure of, if I take any item, closure of that item will contain the item itself. And if alpha, or if there is a production, there is an item A giving alpha dot B beta in I, in the item set I, and beta giving gamma is a production. So if this is the case, you can add beta giving dot gamma to I. Then add, so not beta, B giving dot gamma. B giving dot gamma to I if it's not there, not present. So if I take closure of an item set, the items will always belong to the its closure itself. And again, if I am having a production of the form an item A giving alpha dot B beta in the item set I, then if I am having a production B giving gamma, then add B giving dot gamma to I if it is not there if it is not present in the item set I. So in this way we can take closure of an item. Now if I consider this item set, it can, or from this state it can parse string generate that can be generated from E. It can parse string that can be generated from T using these two productions, or it can parse string ID. So first transition could be corresponding to E. So in order to identify transition corresponding to E, you need to identify those productions whose right hand side containing dot immediately followed by E. So you are having only one production whose right hand side contains dot immediately followed by E. This is the only one production. So what happens when the parser completely scans or completely sees string derivable from E? This dot gets shifted to its right hand side. So whenever the parser sees the string derivable from E, the new item will be E dash giving E dot. So this will be the initial item. And again, while taking the closure, the item set will remain same because you are not having a right hand side containing dot immediately followed by a variable. So this will be the second set of item obtained. Let it be I1. Similarly, you can apply T. So what happens if I apply T? So if I apply T, you are having two productions whose right hand side containing T immediately preceded with dot operator. So whenever parser sees T or sees string derivable from T, you will be getting one item E giving T dot plus E based on this production, and you will be getting another item E giving T dot, that is based on this production. So these are the two initial items that can be added to the item set. So first you have to, while applying T, you have to identify the set of initial items. So add it to the new item set. Once after adding the initial items, you can apply the closure function or compute the closure. So now what happens if we apply closure? You cannot identify any production in this item set that contains a dot immediately preceding a variable. So the closure will remain same. So the process is identify while applying transition, you have to extract or identify initial item set of items. Once after computing initial set of items, take its closure. So these are actually go to from item set I0. If I apply E transition, you will go to item set I1. That is go to function. From item set I0, if I apply T, you will go to I2. Now you are having one more, you can apply one more, determine one more transition for the grammar symbol, that is ID. So what happens if I apply ID? You will be getting T giving ID dot. So you are having only one production whose right hand side contains dot immediately preceding ID. So whenever parser sees ID, that dot will be shifted to its right hand side. So this will be the result. So let this be the third item set, and if I take closure of this item, the set will remain same because you are not having a right hand side containing dot immediately followed by a variable. Now, so if I consider I0, we can identify three transitions. So one transition is corresponding to E because you can identify one production whose right hand side contains dot followed by E. Another transition is corresponding to T because you can identify production, one or more productions whose right hand side containing T immediately preceded with a dot operator or dot followed by T. Again, you can identify a transition for corresponding to ID because in item set I0 you are having an item whose right hand side contains dot followed by ID. Now you can process I1, verify whether you can apply or you can add any transition to I1. You cannot add any transition to I1 because you are not having any right hand side containing dot followed by some grammar symbol. What about this one? Here you are having an item whose right hand side contains dot followed by a grammar symbol. But if I consider this item, you are having dot followed by nothing, so you don't need to consider this one. So if I consider this particular item, based on that item, I can apply transition corresponding to plus. If I apply plus, what will be the effect? What will be the initial item obtained? You will be getting E giving T. Whenever parser sees plus, the remaining string is dot E, which indicates that whenever, if I consider this item, it is clear that the parser has seen string derivable from T. Whenever parser sees plus in addition to T, the parser is expected to see a string that is derivable from E. So the new item obtained is E giving T plus dot E. So this is the item, and here in this set you cannot identify any item whose right hand side contains dot followed by plus. So this is the only item that can be added to the new item set. Once after adding the initial item, take the closure. So verify whether you can expand the item set by taking the closure or not. If you consider right hand side, you are having a right hand side that contains dot followed by a variable. If you are having a right hand side item whose right hand side contains dot followed by a variable, you can expand the item set by taking the closure by performing adding the productions corresponding to that variable. So you can add productions corresponding to that variable. So E giving production corresponding to E includes E giving dot T plus E. Then you are having this production E giving dot T. Once after adding new items into the item set, again you have to take closure of those items. If I take, so we have added closure based on this item. If I consider this item, you are having dot followed by T. So you have to take closure of this item. So you are expected to add production corresponding to T. So T giving ID. Now you cannot add no more items into this item set because the closure computation is complete, is over. And let this be the item set I4. Now you cannot add no more productions or no more transitions to this particular item set, to that particular state. Now if I consider this one, you can add transition corresponding to E. So if I add transition corresponding to E, C bar will happen. So you are having only one right hand side that contains dot immediately followed by E. This is that item. So if I apply that transition, whenever it scans or sees string corresponding to derived from E, the new item will be E giving T plus E dot. So that will be over. And if I take closure of this item, closure of this item set will remain same. So let this be I5. So you have applied production corresponding to transition corresponding to E. Now if I consider the remaining productions, you can have transition corresponding to T, because you are having two items whose right hand side contains dot followed by T. So what happens if I process this item, E giving T dot plus E, that will be the new item obtained. And if I process this one, you will be getting E giving T dot. And if I take closure of this item, it will remain same because dot is followed by a terminal, so we don't need to process. Here dot is followed by nothing. So this will be the item set obtained, and this item set is actually an existing item set I2. So this T transition will go to, that is I4 T will go to I2. Next one is ID. So what happens if I apply ID? T giving ID dot. This will be the only item obtained, and that is already there. So from here, ID transition will go to I3. So this will be the, now if we process this one, process this I5, you cannot identify any transition, because you cannot identify any transition because the right hand side is not having dot followed by some grammar symbol. Here you can identify three transitions, because you can identify right hand side containing dot followed by E. So you can identify transition corresponding to E. You can identify items whose right hand side containing dot followed by T. So you can have transition corresponding to T. You can identify item whose right hand side containing dot followed by ID. So you can identify transition corresponding to ID. So the first step is to construct a deterministic automaton from the grammar based on LR0 collection of items. These items are said to be LR0 collection because to the item set you are not adding any additional information. Nothing is added as an additional information to each item in the item set. So this is an LR0 item, this is another LR0 item, this is an LR0 item set, this is another LR0 item set. So you are having set of LR0 item sets, and there exists transition between these item sets, and this is the starting state. You can treat this as the starting state. This is said to be deterministic because for each grammar, for each item set, transition is actually unique, because if we consider this one, the grammar symbols are T plus E and ID. if I take I0, it's having unique transition for E, T and ID and no transition for plus. So if there does not accept transition for plus, then that means that actually moves to a trap state, dead state. You cannot identify multiple transition for the same grammar symbol from a particular state. So that's the reason for calling this as a deterministic model. Now once after constructing this DFA from the given grammar based on the LR0 item set, you can construct the parsing table. So before that, you just need to compute follow of each non-terminal. So you are having non-terminals E dash, E and T. So in order to compute follow, you need to use the first information. So what about first of E dash? First of E dash is first of E. First of E is actually first of T. First of T is actually ID. So first of T is ID and first of E is first of T, so this will be ID, and first of E dash is again ID. Now if we move on to follow, what about follow of E dash? Since E dash is the starting symbol, follow of E dash is dollar and nothing can be added to follow of E dash. Now what about follow of E? So if I consider this one, follow E is followed by nothing here. So you can add everything in follow of E dash to follow of E. So dollar will be added. Now what about follow of T? So if I consider this particular right hand side, T is followed by plus. So plus can be added to follow of T. Again if I consider this production, right, you are having T in the right hand side. So everything in follow of E could be added to follow of T. So dollar could be added to follow of T. So this is first hand follow. Now you can construct the SLR parsing table from this DFA. So you are having action part and go to part. So here you are having terminals ID and plus. So you are having terminal ID, you are having terminal plus. In addition to that, you have to consider the delimiting symbol dollar in the action part. And the go-to part, you will be having terminal symbols only. So the grammar terminal symbols are E and T. So in this case, you need to consider, you don't need to consider the augmented grammar. Okay. Now, corresponding to each state, there will be a row. So you are having states. So how will you identify the state? Each item set represents a state. So you can use this subscript to represent the state. So you are having the state can be labeled as 0, 0, this is 1 and so on. So state 1, state 2, state 3, state 4 and state 5. So corresponding to each state there will be a row. So this will be the parsing table. Now you can process states one by one. If I consider state 0, it's having E transition. So for variables, you have to create entry in go-to part. From state 0, for grammar symbol E, it will go to state 1. So from state 0, for grammar symbol E, it will go to state 1. Now if I consider state 0, the next transition is T. That is since t is a variable, you have to add entry in the goto part. So from state 0, for grammar symbol t, since it is a variable, go to state 2. Go to state 2. Now the next transition is corresponding to the terminal ID. So if transition corresponds to a non-terminal, you are expected to create entry in the goto part, and if transition corresponds to a terminal symbol, then you are expected to add entry in the action part. So you are having ID here. So from state 0, for terminal ID, it goes to state 3. So this actually represents a shift operation of state 3 into stack. So this actually represents a shift operation, as we have discussed in the lecture corresponding to LR parser, introduction to LR parser. While performing a shift operation, you are expected to shift ID followed by shifting the state label into stack. So S3 actually represents shifting the current input ID followed by shifting the state symbol into stack. Now you can process I1. So if I take I1, it is not having any transition. So leave it. Now you can take I2. I2 is having only one transition corresponding to plus, terminal plus. So that will be a shift operation from state 2 for terminal plus shift state 4. Now you can take the next state I3. I3 is not having any outgoing transition. Now we can process I4, that's state 4. State 4 is having transition corresponding to E, T and ID. So if I take E, it is a variable. So you have to create entry in goto part. So corresponding to state 4, for non-terminal E, go to 5. Corresponding to state 4, for non-terminal T, go to 2. Now corresponding to terminal ID from state 4, that is for ID, you are going to state 3. That represents a shift operation of ID into stack followed by shifting state 3 into stack. So since we are going to move from 4 to state 3 for ID transition, this entry will be S3. So 3 is the target state. Now we can process fifth state. It's not having any outgoing transition. So we have completed creating entry corresponding to shift operation. Now we can process states one by one once more in order to create entry corresponding to reduction. So you need to create entry if any item set contains a right hand side that is delimited with a dot symbol. That is a right hand side that terminates with a dot symbol. So if I consider this particular item set, you cannot identify a right hand side that ends with dot. But if I consider this one, here you are having an item that ends with dot. So before that you can label the productions. So you are having production E giving T plus E. So let this label B1, number B1. You are having E giving T, let the number be 2. You are having T giving ID, let the number be, sequence number be 3. This will be the third production. So if I consider this particular state, you are having an item that ends with dot. So this state is actually 1. So you have to create entry corresponding to everything in follow of left hand side, and this is actually trivial because whenever the parser applies reduction E dash giving E, then you are expected to accept that string, and it happens at dollar. So for I1, this will be the last production to be applied by the parser in order to accept the string. So if this is the case, corresponding to state 1 and corresponding to the delimiting symbol dollar, the action to be performed is accept. Now if I consider state 2, you can identify one item that ends with dot, and if we analyze the set of productions, E giving T is the second production. So you have to create an entry corresponding to reduction in state 2. So in state 2 you have to create an entry in that row representing reduction using production number 2. So you are expected to create entry R2. R2 actually stands for reduce using production number 2. So the production is E giving T. You need to create entry corresponding to everything that belongs to follow of left hand side. What is follow of E? Follow of E is dollar. So corresponding to state 2 and corresponding to dollar, you have to create R2. So if I consider state 2, you are having E giving T. E giving T is the second production. So you have to apply reduction R2. You have to create entry corresponding to everything, each and every column corresponding to the follow of left hand side, follow of E, that is dollar. Now you can process the next one, I3, state 3. Here you are having T giving ID. Since this item is delimited with dot operator in the right hand side, you have to apply or create entry reduction. So T giving ID is the third production. So the expected entry will be R3. R3 actually stands for reduce applying third production. So state corresponding to 3, you have to create entry R3. In row you have to create entry R3 corresponding to the columns that represent everything that belongs to follow of T, follow of left hand side. Follow of T is plus. So in plus you have to create R3, and again follow of T contains dollar. Here also you have to create R3. Now we can process this one. You cannot identify any item that ends with dot, so leave it. If I consider this item, item set, you can identify this particular item that deals with dot operator. So E giving T plus E is the first production. So you are expected to create entry R1 in row 5 because we are processing state 5. In row 5, you need to create entry R1 in column corresponding to everything that belongs to follow of E. Follow of E is actually dollar only. So here will be the only one entry. So this will be the resultant parsing table obtained from the DFA considered using LR0 collection of LR0 items. And again, this is an LR parser. We can conclude that this parser is SLR parser, or sorry, this grammar is SLR grammar because you can construct a parsing table with unique entry in each location. So here S3 stands for shift operation, S4 stands for shift operation, S3 stands for shift operation. This R actually represent reduce operation by applying the corresponding production. Accept actually accepts the string, and these actually represent go to, and this blank entries actually represent error. Now while constructing SLR parsing table using LR0 collection of items, if you are having some conflict, in the sense shift reduce conflict, then there will be multiple entry in some cell, one representing shift and the other representing reduce. Or if we are having multiple reductions in a particular cell, that actually leads to reduce conflict. So if we end up with such a conflict, then you can conclude that the grammar is not SLR1 grammar. So if we can construct SLR parsing table with unique entries, then you can call that grammar as SLR1 grammar. So if a grammar is ambiguous, then the grammar is not SLR1. So if the grammar is ambiguous, while building the SLR parsing table, you will end up with multiple entries, or it will end up with conflict. So ambiguous grammars are not SLR1. Then, which doesn't imply that all unambiguous grammars are SLR1. You can have unambiguous grammars that are not SLR1. So this is a typical example, sample grammar. So you are having S giving AS or B. You are having A giving SA or A. If you consider this particular grammar, this grammar is not ambiguous. Even if it is not ambiguous, this is non-SLR1 grammar, because you cannot construct a parsing table without any conflict, with unique entries. So if you are asked to verify whether a given grammar is SLR1 or not, you just try to build the SLR parsing table, and if you end up with unique entries, you can conclude that the grammar is SLR1. Otherwise, conclude that the grammar is not SLR1. That's it.